All right, hello everyone. So I want to cover another fun topic or a very interesting one. By now a lot of people have seen the movie Top Gun. It's a great movie. It was a lot of fun, very dramatic movie, of course, really well done. And I remember sitting there watching it, and after watching the movie, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, wait a second, this sounds a little bit familiar to me. And the reason is, for many years now in my History of the Middle East class, I've been lecturing on this event called Operation Opera. And when you see the movie, if you haven't seen the movie, it's definitely worth seeing. And then you hear this little story, you're going to go, oh man, maybe there's a connection there. And I don't know if the people who made the movie knew about this operation or if it's just a coincidence, but you'll see some interesting similarities. So, what is Operation Opera? So, back in 1981, Iraq was building a nuclear facility. It wasn't completed, but it was very near completion in Osirak, and the Osirak nuclear facility. And Israel was very worried about this because Israel and Iraq had been, been fighting for a while. 1948, when Israel was declared a state, Iraq opposed it. There were wars that Iraq tried to attack Israel, and Israel was worried with the rhetoric in Iraq and all of that, that this was a potential existential threat to their existence. So when Israel found out about this nuclear facility, they had planned an operation to destroy it. Now, the details of this are pretty interesting. Let me go through some of this. So, Israel used a couple different type of planes, the F-16s and the F-15s. And what had happened was the F-16s, the F-15s were kind of the escort planes. The F-16s were the ones that were actually going to bomb the facility. And Israel, knowing that they'd have to fly, you could see on the map here, across Saudi Arabia, Jordan, into Iraq, had to figure out how to get from point A to point B, and they had to do this very carefully. So the first step was for Israeli pilots to actually use Arabic, spoke Arabic, but with a Saudi accent. And they convinced the Jordanian airspace people that they were just kind of on some Saudi patrol, and that's the first step that got them across. But then when they entered Iraq airspace, at that point they had to kind of do something different. And what they needed to do is make sure Iraq didn't know they were there. And the only way to do that, and this is if you saw the movie Top Gun, there's a bit of that in that movie, is you fly very, very, very low. So low to the ground that radar can't detect you, 100 feet above the ground, basically, which you can try to visualize. If you've ever been to an air show, I've been to a couple air shows, they're absolutely amazing, and you see these people flying so low to the ground, and they have to do this for, 100 miles plus here, right? And so they're flying 100 feet above the ground, and then they have to hit the target. And after they hit the target, which they did manage to do, then the Iraqis see this happening, and then they use the anti-aircraft missiles to try to shoot down the Israeli planes, and they failed. And again, if you watch the movie, it's almost exactly like the scenario in the movie there. From a political standpoint, when this all happened, I always mention this to my students. Israel was condemned for doing this. How dare you go into a foreign nation and blow up their nuclear facility? Later on, and when I say condemned, it was universally United Nations, the United States, England. Everyone said Israel shouldn't have done this at the time. Interesting, later on, when Saddam invaded Kuwait, many people then said, ooh, I guess that was good because, can you imagine if Saddam invaded Kuwait and he had built up a nuclear program, how much harder it would have been for him to get him out of Kuwait, and then his goal was also going to Saudi Arabia, but that gets into a whole other set of other details. Mainly, I wanted to kind of do this short video just to kind of let you know that if you do watch that operation, that movie Top Gun, that potentially some of this may have all been based on that little Operation Opera, and I'd probably be interested to do a little bit more research to see if the writers and the producers of the movie had any connection and understood the background of this story. So, anyways, just wanted to share that. That would be something interesting for a lot of people. All right, everyone have a great day. Thank you.